once again, it's that time where we wrap up the year. 2023 is gone. Now, we are looking at 2024. And indeed, for those that are structured and good at planning, this is a time to actually make the resolutions, if you haven't made them already, for the new year. How do you want 2024 to look like? Now, you've got to be intentional if indeed you want to see a difference in the new year away from the old year. But again, we'll be sharing with you, as we committed to on this show, how you can actually plan better and make practical and achievable resolutions. It is Money and Markets. I'm Charles Ward, your host. Welcome to the show. Uganda Development Corporation is a government entity that is in place to help the private sector sit in certain spaces or sectors that many would ideally, under normal circumstances, may not want to go into. Now, it could also be geographical areas or parts of the country that the private sector may not deem that encouraging or attracting to actually go and set up. It has, in the process, actually helped many set up in some of these upcountry or far-flung areas, for lack of a better word. Now, on this segment, the boardroom, we have the Executive Director of Uganda Development Corporation, who's going to help us understand what they've been up to and what is still in the works, especially as we look at 2024 coming.
Our role as UDC is to facilitate and promote industrial and socio-economic development in the country. We do this by investing in strategic areas. The first definition of strategic definitions are the strategic policy documents. So the national development plans, the Uganda Vision 2040 and the national development plans are a key component for us. So you'll find that most of our projects that we've done are actually well stated and captured in the National Development Plan. That's one. But secondly, things change over time. You'll find some few of our interventions are not in the National Development Plan, but they are guided by the events that are happening. Sometimes these events, when they happen, Cabinet also directs. So we have also cabinet directives or presidential directives. If there is Ukraine-Russia war and they say we can no longer import wheat, so it becomes a strategic decision and someone can direct, cabinet can direct and say, please, we want you to get involved in wheat processing, so that we intervene because there is a strategic need at that moment. And lastly is internally generated projects. We also think through what we have and generate. In most cases, we do this with the private sector. We've intervened in about 17 facilities, including agro-processing. You've had the call to increase value addition to countries' agriculture products, and we are doing that. We are doing fruits in Soroti. We are going to be doing fruits in Yumbe next year. We are doing tea processing in most of the western part of the country, from Kyenjojo to Kabarole to Kisoro, Kabale, Kanungu. We've intervened in these tea processing facilities, and we're going to do more interventions. We've also intervened in sugarcane in Atiak. We've also intervened in cotton in Mutuma, in Usoga sub-region. So we do interventions to offtake farmers' produce, increase employment, reduce dependence on imports by import substituting, but also export. We are processing ethanol from cassava in Noya. So that's how we are intervening, and we continue to build on that kind of interventions. So that's in agro-processing alone. To the contrary, from the numbers we see, I think Uganda is one of the countries which had the longest lockdowns, but the fastest recovery. So we are recovering very well. Other countries are still struggling much more. Take an example of recently hit inflation, where our inflation numbers went to double digit, the first in more than 2 or 3 decades. Now we are back to where we belong, 2%, 2.4%, 2.5%, which is a sign of recovery in itself. However, the business people are still feeling the pinch. And because they feel the pinch, we've also had to intervene in some cases where some businesses have come to us in distress and within a strategic mindset. Not every business will come and we handle, but those that come with a strategic mindset, we've actually helped many of these businesses in cotton processing, in road construction, and many others. So we've had some strategic interventions to save some of these businesses from the distress of the economic turmoil. Most businesses are struggling to do business, but also to compete for business because of lack of good financing instruments. We need long-term capital for businesses. We need it also cheaper. So we need government to thoroughly think through how can we provide long-term capital and provide it cheaper. Proposals on capitalization, therefore, of UDC and UDB remain critical and central to this kind of intervention. So it's important that we have basically an intervention on the financing side. On the taxation side, on the fiscal side, again, we need some fiscal relief for some of these enterprises in line with the law, so that we can have these businesses resurrect and continue to survive.